Welcome to another week of Instigating with Clarkie and Drury, brought to you by our friends at Conway Furniture and, of course, Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC. I'm Ryan Drury, joined by Clarkie, and we are pleased to be joined by a returning guest. Clarkie wasn't on the first time we had this guy, but this is very exciting. Our French friends would know him as Le Frère de Al. We know him as Al's brother. From TSN 1050, you know him from Overdrive, and if you're listening lately, which you should be, you know him from Gameplay on TSN 1050 as well, and of course, the new Hockey Card Haven podcast. We're pleased to be joined by none other than Al's brother himself, Michael Distefano. Michael, how are you, man?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
We're doing a lot better.
You missed the Leaf
Blue
podcast.
Jays.
He does a daily Leaf podcast too.
He absolutely does. He is the host.
Go.
I was going to get into that, Clarkie. You stepped on my toes. Well, of course, the host of Locked On Leafs on the Locked On Podcast Network, of which I'm an avid listener to many of their podcasts.
So am I. And you know it's the middle of July when big news, the Leafs re-signed Connor Dewar the other day.
Absolutely.
Content.
We spent a good 15 minutes talking about Connor Dewar re-sign. He was great.
I heard it.
Oh, it was fantastic.
It was
15 minutes on that. You know, Kyle Dubas when Wes Clark left. It's there's news. Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah. A daily podcast all the way through the summer is sometimes tougher than people think.
It is. Oh no,
you're supposed to be focusing on one subject, but
for sure,
it's a good time. It's fun.
Yeah.
It absolutely is, and I definitely want to make sure that we dig more into the Leafs later, but the talk of the town right now, Al's brother, as you will know, is, of course, the Toronto Blue Jays and just what the heck is going to go on at this MLB trade deadline. There are so many stories flying around. It really does feel like the Jays are at the center of the baseball world in terms of news right now, and it's for all the wrong reasons. You're hearing theories fly out about maybe they'll trade Vladdy or Bo. Maybe they won't. They definitely won't. They're going to trade guys with no tenure left. They're going to trade guys with tenure. What is your opinion on, first of all, what's gone wrong this year? And second of all, what do you think the Jays should do at the deadline?
Well, the show is not long enough to talk about what's gone wrong. I guess the what's gone right is the much shorter list when it comes to the Blue Jays this year. But they really haven't gotten the starting pitching that they had gotten a year ago. And then the bullpen's been an absolute mess. They've been, riddled by injury in the bullpen. And they've had a lot of underperforming stars like Bo Bichette. Looks like Vladdy started to come around, which is great for the Blue Jays. George Springer looks like he's also starting to come around. But the first 3 months of his season was abysmal. You just go down the list. Al's brother Kirk, my guy Kirky, not doing much of anything, offensively with the bat. Even Jano hasn't really done a whole lot. He's got one home run in the last 2 months, and he's supposed to be a big trade chip for the Blue Jays in the next week or so. So not a whole lot has gone right. That list is a lot shorter. Includes Vladdy's having a nice little stretch here. He's got 5 dingers in the last 6 games. So that's been nice. Spencer Horwitz has been a pretty good story since he's come up. And then, IKF was nice, and then he got injured. So we haven't seen Connor Fluff in a little while either. So and I guess we'll give some flowers to Jimmy Garcia, who's been pretty solid since coming back from injury as well. But outside of that, has not been a very fun watch for Blue Jays fans this year.
That's for sure. And all our regular viewers and listeners are going to say, "Oh, here goes Clarkie again on his rant." But can you believe they are letting Shapiro and Atkins carry out their duties and not get rid of them? I cannot believe they're the guys in charge of this deadline. They've done nothing. I can't believe it.
Yeah, they're kind of caught in between a rock and a hard place, because although you might not want them to be at the helm, it's baseball, and you don't necessarily see a lot of in-season moves at the managerial position in baseball. And they've got so many guys that they could trade, and if you don't let them make the moves, well, who's going to make the moves? So you kind of need to let them follow through on this season. It's funny. I was chatting with Scott Mitchell, our TSN Jays reporter on Gameplay, about a week or so ago, and I kind of asked him the same question: is why does management believe that they can compete next year? Like, what would make you think that after the season that we've seen? Everything's just kind of gone from bad to worse from last year into this season. And, this is a team that has been built. They've gone to the playoffs pretty well every year for the last 4 or 5 years. They've been competitive. They've been, a high 80s win club. It hasn't been a complete gong show. And, not everything can go this wrong again, right? So I think they believe in the process. They believe in the vision. Whether or not you believe it is, well, unfortunately, I guess irrelevant. It's whatever management thinks. And I mean, upper management, Rogers. But I'm not as surprised. John Schneider, I would say, is a bit surprising that he's still around. It's tough to get rid of management and general managers and presidents especially. But the coach, you can see some midseason coaching restructuring. That one, I am surprised that we have not seen the Blue Jays go in a different direction in that regard.
Yeah, it's very shocking. And I mean, Vladdy has turned himself into a positive story with the stretch he's been on over the last 28, 29 games. He's ticked his OPS up to 854 after a horrid start. If he was on the pace he's, for the most of the season that he's on now, he'd be upwards of 35, 40 home runs. We'd be looking at 130 plus RBI. Like, the stats tease you. And I do feel like he is the guy that they should keep. I mean, this guy has transformed himself. He's a Gold Glove winner at first, a guy that I don't think a lot of people would have tabbed as a defensive wizard. Not that he's spectacular defensively, but hey, he's a Gold Glove winner. And if he can continue and find consistency and do this for big patches of an entire season, it's pretty clear that he can be a very, very useful first baseman well into the future. Bo is a big question mark. Lots of people are of the opinion that if he was healthy, he'd already be gone. I'm not sure, but I think all of us are counting on likely it being Kikuchi, maybe Kevin Gausman if the package is right. It depends on how deep this management group wants to tear it down. Jimmy Garcia will be gone. There are a few other candidates. Danny Jansen, I heard the Padres are pretty interested in him. They could use a guy like Danny Jansen. Overall, though, Mike, like when you consider the totality of the Shapiro and Atkins regime, they've got a bottom 10 farm system right now and a top 10 payroll. I believe they're 9th in payroll. And we're sitting here like this. And this is the worst place to be. I said the other day, they're the 2010 Toronto Maple Leafs right now. They have way too much money tied up in players that are underperforming, and they have no big draft picks or prospects coming up. This is nightmare fuel for Blue Jays fans.
Yeah, it's not a good spot to be in, right? Like you're too good to be this bad, but you're also not good enough to be considered like a playoff team. The problem is like they've got decent pieces, so it sounds like the team believes that this has just been a nightmare season and they could run it back next year and hope that Bo is not this bad, right? And he can't be. I mean, there's no way that Bo Bichette is a sub 600 OPS player. I can't see him going from being the MLB hits king or American League hits king to being unhit, like a guy who just can't hit the baseball. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think it's been a down year for him, and they're going to roll the dice. If they trade him now, I don't think they'll get nearly what they deserve or should get for a Bo Bichette deal. So I'm on team don't trade either Bo or Vladdy. Now I'm not saying they need to extend Bo long term, but certainly give him one more chance next year to show that, he can get back to being an all-star level player, because he's not. Right now, though, he's performing like a replacement level player. You look at the wins above replacement, and he's at like 0.01 this season, literally replacement level. That's not what Bo Bichette's all about. So if you get a bounce back from him, if George Springer can continue to swing the bat the way he's been doing it throughout the last, 6 weeks or so, you continue to see Vlad, hit bombs and just find gaps the way that he's been able to do so. Maybe Spencer Horwitz becomes an everyday player. There is, some belief that this team could at least turn it around and compete for a playoff spot next year. Maybe not be the, all World Series level of team that we all thought they could have been a couple of years back. But at least I think this is a squad that could still compete with the core if they perform to expectation. That's a big if, though.
When I hear this, I think of everything I think of relates back to hockey. But like a team like the Montreal Canadiens, who are just that middle of the road, they're not going to bottom out like the Leafs did to get better. And when I hear that they're going to run it back next year, I think it's all a fraud. I think it's just because they have a new stadium that they have to fill, and they're trying to renew season tickets. So they're not going to say, you know what, we're going to just we're going to bottom out. It all comes down to the mighty buck, and they just want to keep putting fans in the stands. And I can't see them winning, even with this team, with the management team in place. I think they got to just blow it up. That's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid opinion. I will say that it's certainly a valid opinion. It would take some balls to get that done, and I don't know if
and it's not going to happen with the guys there.
Yeah. That's it, right? Like, that's admitting that they did a poor job building this team, and they'd be admitting fault. And I don't believe that
not a chance
that they're going to do so. And it doesn't look like management's like Rodgers is ready to oust them quite yet either. So I think we're probably going to be returning for another year.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, but I gotta have a little bit of faith, I guess, that they can get it done, and just hope that people have bounce backs. It would be hard to imagine that these players who've taken such massive setbacks this season will continue to do that next year. I just can't see it happening.
I don't know why but I'm getting bitter about it too, because I see my friends and buddies posting on Facebook, hey, down at the Jays game. I'm like, don't go to the games. That's the problem. Everyone's still going to the games.
I was there last Friday.
There you go.
George Springer, Vladdy hit home runs, but guess what?
Good.
They lost.
Well, as literally as we record this in the series finale with the Rays this week, the Jays currently getting leathered 12-0 as we speak.
Yeah, perfect.
Really cool.
Perfect afternoon weekday game.
The final thing on this that I'll say too is, look, I know. And that's what I'm saying here. Someone said to me the other day on the street who watches the show, you guys aren't being hard enough on the players here. Look, the players are absolutely at the end of the day responsible for this. Like, we've got a bunch of guys on this team. You just brought up a couple of them in Vladdy, Bo, and George Springer. All three of those guys were literal horrific baseball players in terms of at the plate, at least. At least George and Vlad were still playing good defense for 3 months here. Like, we cannot forget that. Like, the last 25 days have been fun with two of those guys, but we can't set that aside. The pitching staff's been a nightmare. I love Chris Bass. He's one of my favorite pitchers in baseball. He's been atrocious. And Kevin Gausman looks lost out there. Jose Barrios, his outing the other night was a mess. He can't find the zone. So, yes, the players need to be held accountable here. But, Mike, does it not just make last year even more of a bitter pill to swallow? Because everything's gone wrong this year. Everything went right last year. Like, except for some hitting concerns, sure, it wasn't near as bad as this year. But the pitching staff was so healthy. They had the most games started from their 5-game rotation by any team in baseball. It was one of the most unbelievable years. All 5 of their qualified starters had sub 4.5 ERAs. 4 of them had sub 4s. And they go into the playoffs, and the debacle that occurred against
how many
Minnesota
wins?
occurred.
How many playoff wins?
0 playoff wins under this regime. Does it not just make you sick looking back on that, where we sit now even more?
Well, yeah, wasted opportunities. And you even look back to the year before in Seattle and how that game kind of went. And it piles up. Yeah, it's been piling up, which is why, the fact that you look at where this team was last year, where they were a year ago, and then you look at this season, it seems like such a massive step back compared to what it was. Well, how could you possibly, allow this team or allow this management group to navigate them forward if this is what's happening? It's a team on the backswing as opposed to, or on the back 9 maybe, as opposed to the front 9. And it's like, maybe just a couple of tweaks could make this team go in a different direction. But are these guys willing to make those tweaks? Because it'd be admitting some wrongdoing. I don't know. Remains to be seen.
It all would have changed if he was on that flight. I just can't believe it.
The plane gate Planegate will be something talked about for a very, very long time in Toronto, no doubt about it. All right. You talk about running it back with the Jays. Let's talk about running it back with another franchise in Toronto that you, of course, are very passionate about and follow very closely. I know you're a Canucks fan, Mike, but obviously you pay very, very close attention on Locked On Leafs, which everyone should listen to on the Locked On Podcast Network. Let's talk a little bit about Mitch Marner. He is the center of, it seems, Leafs Nation's ire. There's always a guy. There's always a guy, and it feels like there will always be a guy until a cup is won. And right now it's Mitch. Take us through your opinion of Mitch, whether he still belongs on this team, and what ideally you think the future should hold for not only Mitch, but the Maple Leafs franchise as a whole here when it comes to a player like this.
So I'm going to answer the question, and I'm going to get to Mitch in a second, but I think the organization made a mistake when they ran it back with Sheldon Keefe last year. There needed to be some sort of tangible on-ice change last season, and there just simply was not. They kept with the same core. They kept with the same coach. They brought in a new general manager, but I don't know what that was supposed to change on the ice. So I think they should have made that coaching change last year to see, all right, can a new coach get something different out of this group? Now you come into this season, and now you get a chance to see what they can get out of this group, but you're walking Marner into free agency. Whereas if you would have figured that out last year, if a new coach could get something different out of Mitch Marner come playoff time, you would have had an entire summer and an entire season to try and make that, contract work to bring back Mitch Marner. Or you understand, all right, it's just not going to work here. We brought in a new voice, we brought in a new guy, and he still has no showed in the playoffs. You would know that information. Now you got to wait until May, 2 months before his contract expires, to know if this coach or if new coaching or if a new, philosophy can work with Mitch Marner. So that's where I really look at this team. And I think they're kind of behind the eight ball, and they now got to work to catch up a little bit. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I personally think Mitch Marner is a terrific player. And I think that he's a fantastic NHLer. The Leafs, he's been a pillar of this team for the last, 7-8 years, and he will be again this upcoming season. But the question remains, well, what about the postseason? Regular season God, postseason has not really shown up, and this season was no different. He had 3 points in 7 games. He was on, first unit power play. That was 4%. He was on the first unit penalty kill. That was like 60-something%. Like it was awful. Everything from start to finish for him in the postseason. That being said, I still think he's a great player, and I'm of the belief that if he moves on, he probably has success, much like Kessel did, much like Kadri did, and Leafs fans are going to have to chew on it. But is management willing to chew on that? Are they willing to make that concession that if they move on from Mitch, can they stomach him having success elsewhere? Because I believe it'll happen. And if they can't stomach that, then they're going to keep him. They're just going to. I believe at this point we're not going to see a trade by the season. We're not going to see a midseason trade either. We're at a point now where Mitch Marner is going to be with this team for the 24-25 season, in my opinion, I guess. And they're going to play it out and see what happens. I hope they don't give him a contract before they see what it looks like in May under Craig Berube. I could see it happening, but I hope they don't. But hopefully everything turns out well. They win a couple of rounds. Maybe they win a Stanley Cup. Maybe Craig Berube is the fixer-elixir for the Maple Leafs, and maybe Berube, just like Rick Tocchet was the Kessel whisperer, maybe he can be the Marner whisperer for the Maple Leafs, and we could see some success here out of this group, out of this core, and then we can have a nice long-term outlook with this group. But yeah, when it comes to making that decision, I feel like they're a year behind now because of their decision to keep Sheldon Keefe in place last season.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that. But, I keep thinking of the scenarios and running them through my head, like what's going to happen? Well, as a big Leaf fan, I know what'll happen. The Leafs will have a good season. Marner will have 110 points. They'll make it to the Eastern Conference Final. Marner will lead the team in scoring, and then he'll walk as a free agent after that. But do you think that Berube, his different style and approach to coaching will have an effect on Marner and the rest of the team? What do you think will be different with Berube as opposed to Sheldon Keefe on the ice?
Well, I think Berube is gonna hold guys more accountable. I do believe that's going to be the case. And if you're dogging it at all, like, he's gonna let you know, and he's either gonna let you know verbally or he's gonna let you know because he won't be afraid to let someone sit on the bench for a little bit.
Okay, so and Marner won't break his stick and throw his gloves down the hallway, like.
Well, he can do that,
Well,
Clarky.
I mean, he
but
can do that. That doesn't bother me, to be honest.
Well, and it won't. There's where it will definitively be different. People always wonder when a team changes a coach, how's it going to be different? The approach and the environment that these guys exist in will be legitimately different. Because Sheldon Keefe, I'm not saying this approach can't work, because it clearly can, because Paul Maurice does it. Paul Maurice, definitely a player's coach. Everybody that's played for him really likes him, gets along well with him. There have been plenty of guys that have been described as players coaches. Barry Trotz was described that way too, that have won Stanley Cups. What will be different is when situations come up like that night you're referencing, where Mitch got benched, he snapped his stick, Sheldon came out the next day and had a very pointed comment about his effort, and then the next day Sheldon walked it back. Craig Berube won't walk back any. If Craig Berube comes out in a post-game scrum and says Mitch Marner was awful tonight, and he has not had a long history, mind you, of singularly targeting players, but he's had comments before where he said, I didn't think our power play group was very good, they know who they are, and blah blah. Like, he will not walk comments like that back. Craig Berube is not going to walk on eggshells and be like, oh, I hope I didn't hurt that guy's feelings. He'll go out of his way to hurt your feelings and make sure you know, hey, you're not going to play like that for me. That's so right. That will be tangibly different.
And if you can handle it, then you won't be part of the program moving forward.
That's what the message needs to be.
I guess if they can move guys who don't, that's half the problem.
but maybe
trying
it's
to move
a thing,
guys.
Maybe it's a thing where they let Marner walk potentially. They just take the cap space.
Hey, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I know.
Even letting him walk to me is a good trade.
Here's the catch-22 when it comes to Marner and Berube. Like, typically when we talk about players and coaches and the clash, it's usually because a player doesn't really play well defensively, right? He's not as defensively responsible as some coaches want them to be, right? That was the big clash between, Tortorella and Patrick Laine, or Tortorella and Pierre-Luc Dubois. Marner is very responsible defensively. He's a Selke candidate. We're talking about a 100-point Selke candidate. So he's not going to have an issue with his motor. He's not going to have an issue with the effort. He's not going to have an issue telling him that he's dogging it defensively. So that's where I do kind of find it hilarious how we have this discussion. Is Marner going to work under Craig Berube? Well, there's no reason why he shouldn't, because he does do a lot of things that coaches love out of a player. The problem is, and for whatever reason, it seems like come playoff time, it's not that he doesn't do those things, but it just doesn't seem to be as fluid as it is in the regular season. And I don't necessarily think that's a coaching issue or a player issue. They've got to figure it out. I think it's just a mental issue. And maybe Berube can help settle him down in some way, deploy him in a way that takes a little bit of pressure off him, put him in a different environment that doesn't make him feel as pressurized. That, to me, is the biggest issue with Marner. It's not ability, it's mentality, and maybe Berube can, get to him that way and maybe settle the nerves a little bit come April and May.
Yeah, I actually think part of the problem with him is that he is so confident in the way he plays that when it comes time in a game where in the playoffs, every single night, every single shift is dog eat dog, I think that when it comes to moments like that, and we saw it on the Pasternak OT winner, and people really jumped on him for that because he'll have these lapses in effort where physicality gets questioned. And I feel like at times he's so confident in the way he plays because he can make these spectacular things happen that he is unable or unwilling or both to adjust to the situation at hand that maybe calls for a bit of a different approach, maybe going through a guy in the corner instead of trying to dangle around him, maybe getting rid of a puck a little quicker than trying to hold on to it for too long on the power play. Little things like that. I think that hurts him a little bit. I actually think he's too confident in the way he plays and thinks, oh, I can get myself out of this because I'm so good.
See, I respectfully disagree, and obviously I don't know the answer. Neither of us do, but I think psychologically, it's. I don't think it's that he's too confident. I actually think that it's like jitters, that he can't process things as fluidly in the playoffs because he's overhyped and he's thinking too much about the struggles of trying to, be the kid to get it done here in Toronto. He knows that everyone's watching him. And that's why I think like everything takes him an extra second. He doesn't want to make the mistake. And by not by thinking about it, you're making the mistake. You know what I mean? That's how I've always kind of read the situation. I could be completely wrong. Like, I don't know. I'm not Mitch Marner. I'm not in his head. But that's almost how I view it when I'm watching him. He's just a little timid. He's way more timid in the playoffs. It doesn't make that direct move. Just seems like it's just, he doesn't want to make that mistake. So he doesn't, just jump on the opportunities when they present themselves like he usually does in the regular season.
Before we move on and chat a little bit about your new show, because as many of our viewers will know, and some may not, Michael is a very passionate hockey card collector, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But before we move on from the Leafs, just your general thoughts on how the offseason has gone so far. Marner aside, should we trade him? Should we not? Forget about that. What they have done. Connor Dewar coming back, obviously. Yeah. OEL gets signed. Chris Tanev, who they've wanted for a while, they go get their guy. How are you feeling overall about what they've done in the offseason?
And before you start, what's the latest on Hakanpää? Have you heard anything?
Oh, I keep asking that question every day myself, and I can't get a straight answer. No one seems to know what's going on with Hakanpää. Obviously, there was that report by Steve Simmons in the Sun the day he signed about,
there has to be something to that, right? There has to be.
Well, I guarantee you there is. And if this contract was not registered, or maybe there's some sort of clause in it, he has to do a physical, or maybe they have to rework it where now there's a bonus structure involved with games played and they're still going through that, or maybe it just doesn't end up happening. This happens. Like, was it Lindor in the MLB a couple of years ago? Was it Lindor? Yeah, a couple of years ago, he failed the physical and he ended up having to sign elsewhere, and signing a new contract elsewhere. So I don't know if that's a similar situation here, but that's an answer I can't seem to get either.
Yeah. But the rest of the guys, sorry, I hijacked Ryan's question about Tanev.
No, Tanev, OEL. How are you feeling? Stolar's obviously coming in too.
Yep. Yeah, I love what they did with the blue line. I've been a big Chris Tanev fan for a long time. You mentioned I grew up a Canucks fan, so I've been watching Tanev since the minute he broke into the NHL. I've always thought he'd be a perfect partner for Morgan Rielly. When he left Vancouver as a free agent before going to Calgary, I thought Toronto should be in on that guy, like for sure. I thought he would have been a perfect get for the Maple Leafs, and he's been a pretty solid addition for the last few years for Calgary. Like, he'll be the same thing here for the Maple Leafs. And when he got traded to Dallas, he was unbelievable. I mean, up until he got hurt, like, the guy hadn't allowed a single goal at 5-on-5 against like the superstar players that he was shutting down, right? Look at the teams that he played. Vegas, Colorado, Edmonton. Like, he's shutting down the Eichels, the Stones. He's shutting down the McKinnons, I was going to say Landeskog, not Landeskog, Rantanen, the Makars of the world. Like, he was unbelievable for the Dallas Stars up until that injury. And that is going to obviously be the one key thing with Tanev. I know a lot of people who had criticisms of the signing, they look at his injury history, and it's a valid concern to have someone who's getting up there in age, 34, 35 now. And there's going to be concerns there, considering, he hasn't really played a full 82 games quite often throughout his career. But I do like what they did on the blue line overall. I think OEL was also a nice addition. He could come and he could be a big puck moving defenseman from the back end. I think that, you look at what the Maple Leafs have up front, they need someone to get them the puck. I think Ekman Larsson will do a really good job of of making that happen and allowing the superstars to do what they do best up front. He can break the puck out. He can be another option on the power play if they don't want to go with the more down the Morgan Riley route again. So I do like the OEL signing as well. They didn't really do much up front from forward, but I think that was expected. They needed to allocate some of their forward money onto the blue line, and they pretty much did that by not re-signing Tyler Bertuzzi and allocating that money back to the back end. They're going to hope for some internal improvements from guys like Matthew Nyes, guys like Bobby McMahon. Hopefully they can come through and pick up some of that offense, get more than 9 goals out of Max Domi. I would imagine you'll see a bit more of that this season. So offense, they're kind of rolling the dice. Maybe Easton Cowan impresses in camp and wins himself a job. Goaltending is going to be interesting. I think it's a gamble. I really do. I still think that it's a gamble. When Joseph Woll is playing and when he's healthy, I love it. I like what he looks like. He's so calm in net. It not only makes the guys on the ice feel calm, but I feel calm as an observer. I feel very calm when he's behind the defense there and in the crease. I feel like he's the best option for the Maple Leafs when healthy. And that's the big question mark. And if he's not healthy, Anthony Stolarz, I mean, this guy's been a career backup his entire career. Is he going to be able to take on a big time workload if injuries pile up and he's got to miss some time? I don't know what he looks like on a guy who's got to play on a nightly basis. I've never seen it before, right? For Jack Campbell, the second he had to work on a nightly basis, what happened? His game kind of fell apart for the Maple Leafs and then continued in Edmonton. So we'll see there. But overall, I do like what the Maple Leafs did this offseason. I think they are a better group today than, when they lost in that Game 7 against the Boston Bruins. So overall, I give them a passing grade for sure.
Well, let's see how it all works out. It'll be very interesting, and I know everybody will be itching to get the season going and see how Craig Berube captains this crew through what will remain murky waters until they win that Stanley Cup. And you never know. Could be this year, Clarky. That every year's your year, brother. You never know. Although I like Mikey's Canucks better, though. I think the Canucks are got a better shot.
Come on.
I've been saying this, and let's not refer to them as my Canucks. I grew up a Canucks fan. I got no allegiances anymore, we can say. But
okay.
I'll say this, though. I look at what the Canucks did this offseason, and it's very reminiscent to what Tocchet and the Canucks did last offseason, right? They focused on getting some guys who could play the grittier game, a heavy style game. They focused on beefing up the blue line with guys with size, guys who can stop cycles, guys who can stand you up, and on the open ice, guys who can block shots, kill penalties. I think there's a lot of similarities between those two off seasons from last year to this year. And not to say that it's a copycat of what they did, but I think there are some similarities between the two teams.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Let's quickly talk about something that you're very passionate about. The viewers and listeners on TSN have known this for a while. Let's talk a bit about your new endeavor here. You're a number of episodes, I believe 13 or 14 episodes now. Hockey Card Haven podcast. You can view it on YouTube and Spotify. You should check it out. Tell us a little bit about this and your passion for hockey card collecting, of which I definitely share the passion.
Yeah, I've been a hockey card collector since I was a young buck. Sidney Crosby's rookie year was really when I got into it. It was the 05-06. It was the dual rookie class, him and Ovechkin's rookie card. So I got hooked on the chase, and it really started from there, my passion. And I've been collecting ever since. Much like most people, I took a little bit of time off, through university. And when I was starting, adulting and I had other things to pay for, I didn't have the excess funds. And then kind of came back to it around COVID when a lot of other people did, and have really been taking it a lot more seriously ever since. But yeah, the podcast, the Hockey Card Haven podcast, really just a passion project. Me and a fellow collector who I had met through the hobby, Anthony, we both, just love hockey card collecting, the investing part in hockey cards, flipping, just, way to make little side hustles, some side income, prospect speculating. It's just fun, it's a little bit like a stock market in a way. And so it's kind of matching up two things that I've always appreciated. I've always liked, commerce, buy, sell, trade. has always interested me, business and hockey, obviously. So I kind of just married the two together. And it's been a lot of fun just being able to talk about the hobby, talk about what's going on, do some market analysis on certain players, certain companies, products when they come out. Just kind of touch on all things hockey card and the hobby itself. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, it's a great show. When you made me aware of it the other day, I watched 4 or 5 episodes.
Love
and it's really good. You guys do a great job on there. So if you're passionate about hockey card collecting, definitely check out Hockey Card Haven podcast, man.
How's the
It's really
market
good.
been? Has it gone up like since COVID, like for buying and selling?
Yeah, much like the entire market, right? Everything had a massive bump, an inflated bump throughout COVID, right? 2021, I think we saw, a lot of Americans kind of get into it from a investing perspective, let's say, which pumped a lot of artificial money into the market. So it's gone back down a little bit, but still, when you consider where it was pre-COVID, there's still a lot more money pumped into the market. A fly coming over.
Yeah,
here.
we see the fly.
I don't know what's going on. But yeah, there's a lot more money into the market nowadays. And it's definitely a very, very healthy one, I would say. Even in comparison to the other sports cards like football, baseball, basketball, I collect and I, buy, sell, trade all of it. Hockey's my main passion, just because that's what I grew up with. And that's what I collected growing up. But I would say that hockey, out of all the major sports groups, certainly the most healthy market, I would say, of them all, because the collector's base is a lot more sturdier there, where the others kind of seems like it's propped up a little bit by, some finance bros looking to make a quick buck more so.
Yeah, like I got into it back in the 70s, obviously, when I was just wanting to collect hockey cards, the individual packs with the gum. I sold a lot of my cards to Ken Reed, actually, at Sportsnet when I worked there for a bit, including my Mario rookie card, but he gave me a few $100 for it, but it went up. I know it went up quite a bit. Yeah. But I still kept a lot of my Leaf cards. Like I didn't trade him any Leaf cards just because they were special to me. And I also have, like, my dad handed me down, I'm going to try to show this on, but I have the Beehive set from like the 30s and 40s.
Like the picture sets, like big pictures.
Yeah. So
nice.
So I have
those, killer.
Which are for sale.
Well,
for the right price.
You're trying,
but I have no idea. I have no idea what the price is. But I have
Al's brother could appraise them for you. I bet.
I have binders of them. Like I have the whole set. Like it's all here.
That's impressive. That's cool. That's impressive and good in good condition too. Like we're talking about.
Yeah, they're not bad.
A set that's 90 years old at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's incredible stuff. You're sitting on some nice change there, man.
You could retire early, Clarky. You never know.
You could.
That's my goal. That's my goal.
Well, I'm definitely gonna have to get together with you at some point at one of the trade shows, because I like to dabble in that. So we'll have to make that happen. But in the meantime,
just had one.
I know. Yeah.
Tuesday.
You were very busy this week, so we definitely appreciate your time. Oh, look at this!
Look at that! Who's who in the National Hockey League? My dad gave me that 1938-39. Just a little book of who's who with the beehive on the back. Yeah, it's kind of. I got some cool collectible stuff here. Anyway,
that is cool.
We're gonna have to sort you out there, Clarky. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get together. We'll invite Al's brother up to Listowel for
100%.
Gotta come out to the expo. That's where you're gonna find your buyer.
The expo is
I'm always nervous about those things. I don't know
it's
why.
It's the spot. No, the expo's great. I've gotten lots of great Ovechkin items there. It's a great spot. Absolutely.
So what do you do when you go there? Hold on. I know you want to wrap this, but what do you do when you go there? Do you just like take it to a booth and say, what would you give me? Like what happens at these things?
Yeah, if you're looking to sell them, you could do that. But there's like hundreds of vendors out there who are going to be willing to buy. There's, there'll be people who are specializing in vintage markets. You'll find those people who specialize in vintage.
For
and,
sure.
They'll appraise it for you and they'll tell you, hey, I think this is about what market value is. And then you come up with a number that makes you both happy. And that's kind of how you would sell something like that.
Got it. Okay. There we go.
There you go.
Ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
We'll consult your services when we do this, Al. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Remember, you can follow Michael Distefano on social media, okay, at Mickey_Canuck. Remember to listen to gameplay on TSN 1050, of course, in the afternoon. And you can always hear him on Overdrive. He pops in. He's going to be on there next week. And remember to check out Locked On Leafs and, of course, the Hockey Card Haven podcast as well. Michael, so appreciative of your time. This is a great chat. We could go on for hours just about the hockey cards. We really appreciate this, brother. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll have to get you on the Hockey Card Haven pod, and we can get into the nitty gritty of hockey card collecting over there.
I would love to be a guest. I would do that anytime. I got plenty of fun Ovechkin items I could show you guys. So we'll make it happen, man. I appreciate it. All right. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Garrett McFadden, the founder of McFadden's Movement, is going to join us next to talk about the annual golf tournament that I had the pleasure to MC last week. We're going to chat with our friend Garrett next. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by Conway Furniture and, of course, our friends at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC. Thanks again to Michael Distefano of TSN 1050 for coming on, and we're joined by another great guest, my friend, longtime captain of the Guelph Storm, longtime pro hockey player, and founder of McFadden's Movement. Garrett McFadden is on. Garrett, how are you, brother?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
We're doing well, my friend, and man, things are exciting in the McFadden's Movement world. Another very successful celebrity golf classic, the fourth one. It's just incredible, the numbers you guys have been able to put up, well over 60,000 through the first three, one of which was restricted from COVID too. Do we have a final tally yet from what went down last Friday there? Do we have final numbers?
Yeah, we ended up raising just over 30,000. So yeah,
unbelievable. So that's another record. That's a new record. The old record was 27.
Yeah,
unbelievable, dude. Congratulations, over 30 grand. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, it was honestly just the perfect day. Like from the weather to everyone kind of who we needed to show up did, and everything just went real smoothly. I don't know if, Steph and I are usually pretty stressed on like the Thursday night when we're getting everything set up, and we're kind of looking at each other last Thursday, and it's like, do we have everything done? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just felt like in other years we've felt like we had so much more to do, and I think that's maybe partly because we were sort of making it up as we went along. But by the time the fourth year rolls around, it's like everything, you have that checklist and you know what's ahead of you. And I think, it turned into a really successful day, and one that I know the both of us are super proud of and super happy with.
Absolutely. Well, you and Steph Karate, of course, who we're talking about. Now, Steph used to work with the Storm, and she helped Garrett launch McFadden's Movement. Now, of course, director of communications with the OMHA. It's just incredible what she's up to. And you guys put on a great event. The MC could have been better, but it was a fun day. I was very happy to be there. Of course, I'm rocking my hat you guys gave me, and of course, everybody had a great time. It was a fun day of golf, but the main focus, obviously, all the money raised going to Canadian Mental Health Association, Waterloo Wellington, of course, West for Youth Online, which you're very personally connected to, of course. It's just incredible to be able to get all these people together for one cause and support something like this, right, Garrett? It's really, really important.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we've been working with those two resources for the last 7 years. So it's always great to catch up with CMHA, Waterloo Wellington, and of course West for Youth too. And it's been a journey. I think we've all grown a little bit in terms of even the changes that West for Youth has had to make in their delivery of their resources and how they're going about things as times change, and went through COVID together and all that stuff. So I know they're still as busy as ever, and that along with CMHA Waterloo Wellington. I was actually at the Grove today. It's a new building that CMHA partnered with the Grove. It's downtown Guelph, and just there to kind of take a look. And that's kind of what the money that we've donated has gone towards for them, just funding this new building. So it's kind of geared towards kids and young adults, 12 to 26, and just was like a really cool hangout spot for people to come and just kind of relax. If they needed help, then the help is there for them. But if they wanted to just come and have a space to kind of get away from things, then that was there too. So it's been cool, kind of, obviously for us, we're coming up on our 7th Czech presentation. So time has kind of flown by, like from when I was 19 to now. I'm getting older and it happens fast, but yeah, it's been cool to kind of grow with both of those resources and us just in general, just kind of building on momentum what seems like every year. And it's been really a cool experience.
Garrett, tell us how the movement started and why it's so important for you.
Yep. I had a family friend, Wes Cameron, die by suicide when I was in grade 9. And that was kind of the first, I guess, realization for me that mental health existed. If that's kind of the best way to put it. I was a pretty naive 13, 14-year-old kid who loved playing hockey and went to school and went to hockey practice, and that was kind of it. I never really thought about anything in between. And for something like that to happen, it was, something I really didn't understand, and took me a while to sort of wrap my head around it. And as years progressed and I started playing in Guelph, the Storm was very involved in community events and stuff like that, and I loved doing it and loved getting to kind of immerse myself in the community and get to know the fans and the kids and all that stuff. And kind of just before my second last year with the team, Steph and I and a couple of the other guys had a meeting just to kind of see what we thought and how we could improve upon the community stuff that we were doing. And I kind of pitched the idea of something geared towards mental health, and that's kind of where McFadden's movement was born, and we've kind of just been running with it ever since.
Nice. Yeah,
it's an incredible organization, obviously, that I'm very supportive of for obvious reasons. Long history with, mental health happenings in my life as well. And the people over there at West for Youth are unreal, as well as CMHA Waterloo Wellington. There's a lot of great resources. If you need help, look them up, particularly if you're a youth. If you're a young person, West for Youth Online, great resource. Definitely look them up online. They have a number of different ways that they can reach out to you. They've got talk to text. They'll do Zooms with you. I mean, there's lots of options there for sure. Garrett, I'd be remiss if we didn't have you on and talk a little bit about hockey, obviously, and you had a pretty unique experience last year. You played in the ECHL, you had your OHL days, you're playing pro now. Tell us a little bit about Austria. What was that like, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't been yet. I started off in Slovakia and the Czech last year, and then I just signed a new deal in the Austrian League for this upcoming year. So Slovakia was interesting for sure. It was definitely you kind of get immersed with the culture and learn a little bit about what life is like over there. And as an English speaking and an only English speaking person, it's difficult at times to you definitely stick out and you walk around town and people know that you're North American kind of thing. So that made it really interesting, but still a lot of fun. And they're very passionate people about their sports and, especially about their teams. And it's definitely, a unique atmosphere when you're playing European hockey, just how the fans interact so much with the game, and they're constantly chanting. And, they have the big fan sections with everyone who's extremely passionate about the team. So it was cool and definitely a little bit different than what you're used to in North America. So that part was awesome. And then just like being able to, be in a new country and see how they do things, and also travel around and see stuff that you'd never really get to see if you weren't playing hockey. I mean, the game's taken me all over the place. So to get to, check off a couple countries and be able to say that I played hockey there was also a really cool part. And yeah, being able to kind of, move on from Slovakia and the Czech and go to Austria. I'm really excited about it. The city is Innsbruck, so really, really excited to get there. It looks like a beautiful place to be, and I've only heard really great things about the city and the team and all that stuff. So I leave in just over a week, so getting pretty geared up, and have to start packing eventually soon here, but we'll get around to that.
That's great, brother. Well, we're proud of you, man. And don't forget the skis, obviously, a former Olympic town over there. So lots of events were held there, obviously. So that'll be great for you. Finally, I just want to ask you, and I kind of touched on this on the day with you at the tournament, but obviously you're very well liked and well remembered Storm alumnus. You were a captain of the team. You're a championship winner as well. You saw all the ups and downs that junior hockey offer throughout your career. You know, when you host an event like last Friday and a bunch of current Storms show up on the team, a bunch of the rookies from this year were there, bunch of guys from the past show up, George Burnett's there, a bunch of people from the organization. Like, when you see that, I mean, how proud does it make you to be a Storm alumnus? Because it's a really special group.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, you know, we kind of make the joke that it's turned into like the Storm alumni tournament every year, which is perfectly fine with me. I mean, I got to know a lot of alumni when I was playing, and you know, a guy like Dave Lilac or Regan Stocko was working with the team. I met Dave Lilac, who's a former player, skating in his backyard, doing like a Home Depot backyard rink contest skate with the Storm, and have kept in touch sort of ever since. And my younger brother Bryce and his son are actually really good friends now. So it's kind of funny how those moments kind of come full circle, and you realize really how small the community is. But yeah, seeing guys like that come out, and then obviously like the guys that I played with, whether it was a guy like Ryan Horvat or Ratty or you know, Nate Schnarr, all those guys coming out, Zach Poirier, and then being able to have the young guys who I didn't play with and kind of get to know them. And I mean, I still follow the team really closely, so I, you know their faces and recognize their names and stuff like that. But being able to put a personality to it's kind of funny. You relate to those guys a lot because you were in their shoes, you know, years ago. But you know, we enjoyed ourselves, and it was great getting to talk to them and get to know them. And I think it's just a good outlet that you know, you get to know a few guys that have been through it and been through situations that you're about to go through, or maybe you don't guess that you're about to go through, but eventually you do. And just knowing that there's kind of like that solid support from the alumni group. Obviously it makes me feel really good that the tournament's well supported and what we're doing is making a big difference and people are interested in coming out. But I think as a current player and even as a guy at one point when you're exiting the game and you need someone to lean on, then there's also that support there for guys too. So I think it's really cool what we have going well.
Yeah, it's a special group. It's a special franchise that I'm proud to be a part of in a small way. And I was proud to be there for the 4th annual McFadden's Movement Celebrity Golf Tournament. We really appreciate this, Garrett. We wish you the best of luck this season, obviously over in Austria. And if anybody wants to check out McFadden's Movement, they got a great website. They're all over social media. You can find them. They're doing great work that everybody should support because mental health is very important. Garrett, again, I commend you on the work you continue to do, brother, and thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys, we'll take one last quick break. Clarky and I will come back with the Conway Furniture Couch Potatoes. And man, we got a doozy this week. We have a doozy this week from the Olympic Games, and it's not a good one. We'll be right back. That's next. Wrapping things up on a very exciting week here on Instigating with Clarky and Drury, brought to you by Conway Furniture, Highway 86 East End of Lisbon. Of course, Larry Hudson, Chevrolet Buick GMC. Thank you so much to Al's brother, a.k.a. Michael Distefano of TSN 1050 and the Hockey Card Haven podcast for coming on. AB, hey, and hey, Hayes is not a fraud. I'm on Team Hayes, okay? I'm gonna make sure I mention that to him. Okay. And thanks to Garrett McFadden and McFadden's Movement, former Guelph Storm captain. The kid's a beauty. He's just doing great charity work. That's so vital. Speaking of vital, it's vital that if you're thinking about getting a new vehicle right now, Clarky, even though everybody missed out if they're seeing this now on a big promotion, there's
Yeah.
always hot deals
Yeah,
with our
there's-
friends at Larry Hudson's.
Yeah, they're hot. And here's the deal. There's 0% financing on some trucks. Okay.
Hello.
But I might be breaking news here. I don't know if I should be doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway because we do it every
Oh.
year, and we're doing it
Yeah.
again this year. We have our Civic Holiday Sale coming up August 5th, the Monday, the Civic Day.
See you later.
Big sale day. It's always a big day. Lots of things to lots of reasons to come down to Larry Hudson's on the Civic Holiday. We're closed on the Saturday, on the 3rd, on August 3rd, but we'll be open on the Monday. So come on down where the deals will be hot. The
Yes.
August Civic Day sale, once again, annual sale at Larry Hudson's. There you go.
There. 1000 Wallace Avenue here
And
in Listowel.
Ask.
And Clarkie will be there. Ask for Clarkie, okay? If you don't have a rep already, please ask for Mr. Clark. He'd be happy to help you out. Really quick, our friend Phil Main, if you don't know, if you forgot quickly, producer Adam, remind everybody where Conway Furniture is.
Conway Furniture, Highway 86, just east of Listowel.
Well, there you have it. You ready?
There you have it. Highway 86, east end of Listowel. It's our favorite part of the show. Conway Furniture. Now, before we do this, this is a secondary potato. This is not even a baked potato. This is a still in the ground potato, but it's a potato nonetheless. And the honorary Conway Furniture couch potato this week goes to Ian Doig, Todd Hamilton, and Chris Clark, because the Open Championship pickoff, I am the king of that. I am the king.
You can't even be near proud of anything that's happening.
I am proud because I picked a better team. I picked a team that performed better than everybody. Clarkie loses, even though he picked Xander Schauffele, the eventual champion.
I mean, that's
Clarkie had two guys miss. No,
I get it. I didn't
important.
win the pool. I get it. But I won because I picked the winner. I picked Xander, and that's what I'm happy about. So you can take your little victory. You can take
little victory. This is a major championship of which I am now the king of two of them this year.
You had Matty Fitzpatrick at 9 over, barely making the cut, saving.
Doesn't matter. Hey, listen,
we
man.
nearly missed. We nearly all missed the cut. Nearly.
We almost all missed the cut. But Matty Skechers, my guy, got it done for me on Friday. Late
Shane
in
Lowry
round.
blew up. Like, come on. Like,
it doesn't matter.
Xander Schauffele's the winner.
My team performed better than yours, and my team is the winner.
And
Todd Hamilton's scores are on there. Todd Hamilton had a great team too.
Yeah, and not only that,
Hammy's team.
Not only that, he had a great idea. The winner,
DeChambeau, Scheffler, Hovland, Cantley. What is? Quick side note: what's wrong with Victor Hovland? He changed his swing. This guy's a gas can. He won 3 of the final 4 tournaments last year. Victor Hovland is lost in the woods, baby. It's unbelievable. Stay away from that guy. It's incredible that he changed his swing. And look what's happened to him. I'm the king of the Open. That's my 7th victory overall this year in golf pickoffs. It's just been unfortunate for everybody. I'm really, really sorry, everyone, but I'm going to be the king of the golf pickoffs this year. Now, let's move on to the real deal here. The Conway Furniture couch potatoes of the week. Clarkie, I usually do this. I concede to you, and I'd like you to go first.
Okay. I have a honorable mention.
Okay.
Because I can't name myself because I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
It's been a big week for me. Okay. I've had to admit a couple of things this week. Okay. And I just wanted to explain what I admitted. I started playing pickleball.
Okay.
Yeah. And I always thought that was just for old men, but I realized it's not. It's not just for old men because I like it. So it can't just be for old men. I played with a client of mine, actually, Ken, and we played down in Atwood, and beautiful surface there. Like, I shouldn't even say how
it is nice
because I don't want people going down there. Because I
played on it
and it's empty there. But Ken's there, and I played, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. As you know, unfortunately, the squash courts had to close in Listowel.
Yes.
That's very,
something we're very sad about.
Very sad and very unfortunate. It left a lot of us with a void, right?
I have a
some
void.
Some of the guys are playing tennis, and I'm going to start playing pickleball, and I'm going to try to recruit some of my squash guys to play some pickleball, including you, Mr. Drury.
I'll play.
And that was just
I'm
half
not old. I don't qualify by age,
I know
but
you
I'll
don't.
play.
I know you don't. And then to add on to this little week
There's
that
more.
I had,
okay.
I went.
Oh no.
Today was the first day I went to Shoppers Drug Mart on Seniors Day and got the 55 and over.
Clarky.
I got a 55. I'm over 55, so I got the seniors. So it's been a very tough week on me, having to play pickleball and take advantage of the Shoppers Drug Mart Seniors.
You know what though? You know what?
20% is 20%.
Listen, you know what though? For you, before I name mine, I'm going to remove you from my honorary couch potato. I'm going to remove you from that because you know what? I'm going to make you a good couch potato on the other side of things. Kick back and recline because you're over 55. And you know what? Yeah. It's very courageous of you to just confront this head on.
That's right.
And realize where you're at in life. You're not pretending to be 40 anymore. No. You are 55 and you're proud of it, and you should be, damn it.
The nice thing was when I checked out at Shoppers, she said to me, "Are you eligible for the shop?" Yeah. I said, "Yeah, I'm eligible."
Did you get ID'd? The reverse
no,
ID?
She did not ask for ID. I just said, "Yeah,
incredible.
I get the discount. Yeah, no problem. First time ever."
Tremendous.
Anyway, here we got to move. I know we're running out of time. Here's my couch potato of the week, and it's I don't know what's going on in the world of media, but we lost, it seems like, a guy from the airwaves again this week. Jeff Merrick from Sportsnet is gone, apparently. And I used to work with Jeff quite a bit at the Fan back in the day, back in the 90s, 2000s. Him and George Strombadopoulos had a nice show there. But anyway, Jeff was doing the draft, and then he wasn't doing the draft. And apparently today, Thursday, as we record, it's been put out there that he has parted ways with Sportsnet. He's a pretty talented guy, and it doesn't surprise me that Sportsnet would let him walk. I'd love to know what happened. I'm trying to get my feelers out there to find out what happened. But Jeff Merrick, couch potato, I'll miss him on the air because that's one actual show that I liked listening to when he did the hockey, whatever it was, at noon show. On the Fan. So anyway,
he's
I'd love to know what happened.
Guy, and
I want to know what happened. And
I'm
also
sure we'll
condolences this week. Cindy Cherry, Don's daughter, passed away.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Suddenly.
Yeah, so, really, really sad.
Thinking about grapes. For Don and Tim. Tim was Cindy's brother. So anyway, it's too bad.
Yeah, it really, really is. Well, I'm going to continue the negativity here.
Yeah, I know where you're going. I didn't want to talk about
this Canadian Olympic soccer thing. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is what the couch potato segment was made for.
There you go.
Producer Adam Bev Priestman is in serious trouble. She is the women's head coach of the Canadian national women's soccer team, and the drone gate, it's calling people back to my Patriots back in the day with Spygate. This is outrageous. If you haven't heard about this, look it up online. They've been accused of using drones to illegally film the New Zealand team's practice. This is a joke. 2 members have been kicked out of the country and sent home. Bev Priestman stepping aside and not going to coach the game against New Zealand. FIFA's involved now. The Olympic Committee's involved. There could be big sanctions coming, and there probably should be. This is embarrassing. Canadian soccer has been on such a positive rise the last few years on the men's side, and of course the women even more so. They're the defending Olympic champs. They won the gold medal at the Tokyo COVID Games. I mean, this is outrageous, this story, just completely throwing a negative wrench right before the Olympics get going. This is so embarrassing. Bev Priestman and the Canadian team, not the players, but the people running it, are absolutely my couch potato. What an embarrassing joke this is. I'm ashamed. I really am. All right. What a great show. Let's spin it back positive side, back to fun. What a great show. Make sure you check out Locked On Leafs, Hockey Card Haven podcast, and of course his work on TSN 1050, our friend Al's brother, Michael Distefano, and of course Garrett McFadden and McFadden's Movement. And of course, remember, as Clarky said, fireworks going off, and there will be fireworks going off in your life when you go to the long weekend sale, August 5th, Larry Hudson's Chevrolet Buick GMC. Be there. Get yourself a new vehicle. That's the time to do it. Ask for Clarky and visit our friends at Conway Furniture if you want to join the couch potato movement. I'm Ryan Drury. That's Clarky. You can watch the show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9. Our friends on Whiteman TV. Channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. Find the podcast version on all your favorite apps. We will be back next week with more instigating. We'll see you then.